serving the one true master. The white man and every other nation has made you believe that they're your master. If you look at every corner store in the neighborhood that you come from, there's somebody else that owns it that don't even look like you.
All praises. This is take two. Some technical difficulties, but when we give all praises to the Most High Yahweh, we do so in the name of the Son, Yahushua. Today, just wanted to do a quick lesson, more so current events and what's been going on in the world. One thing I do find important to understand and pay attention to is geopolitics. The scriptures talk about not knowing the hour or the time, but it does say that we'll know around about. You know, when you see these signs, it talks about wars and rumors of wars and things like that. And just as a watchman, it's important to be occupied in, you get Ecclesiasticus 39, verse 1.
It's the book of Ecclesiasticus. You say chapter 39, verse 1?
39.
God. It says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof.
So when you come into this thing and you're occupied in the laws of the Most High, as we, most of us that's in this walk are. Go ahead,
It says, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies.
So we'll seek out the wisdom of the ancient, and that should govern our lives. But we'll also be occupied in prophecy. So it's important to just pay attention to what's going on in the world around you, so that we understand pretty much what's next, what the Most High has planned next. Recently, amidst all of the chaos that the new president of the United States is causing, he also started to bomb Yemen, the Houthis in Yemen, actually. And the thing about that is the United States has every intention on eventually conquering the entire world. That's the plan. But of course, the Most High, according to the scriptures, he's going to sweep in before he lets that happen. So one thing I like to do as far as geopolitics a lot of times is just pay attention to how situations are playing out. Because if we are to potentially be judges on the earth, when the Most High comes back, or when the Lord comes back and puts us up over all these nations, it's important for us to know how to judge a matter objectively. Even though we have this disdain for the other nations, it's also important to see things like what's fair and what's not fair. So I like to actually practice judging matters just objectively and looking at them objectively. So, I forget where I was going with that. The United States started bombing the Houthis in Iran, right? But why? Right? That's the question. So they have every intention, like I said, of conquering the world, but they also want to go to war with Iran, right? It was said many years ago, 2007, I believe, as a General Wesley Clark, and he actually talked about the United States plan to cause upheaval in the Middle East and take 7 countries in 5 years. You gotta read that quote from me.
It says, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq, and then Syria, Lebanon, and Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
So this is General Wesley Clark. He was a NATO general. He's an American general, but he also was a general over some NATO forces for some time. He did 34 years in the military and retired. He was talking about, I believe it was during the Bush administration. He got a memo, and it was basically talking about the United States plan to overthrow these 7 countries in 5 years. And I don't know if you heard that list, but pretty much all of these countries, the United States has gone into and pretty much caused some kind of upheaval there, because that's what they do pretty much. In order for them to conquer the world and accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, they have to have control, just like any empire, right? You look at Rome, Greece, the objective is to rule the world and eliminate anyone that would oppose you. So, and it's really just, it's a land grab, and it's really for resources at the end of the day. You want to collect all the other nations' resources. Let me get Habakkuk chapter 2. You want to collect all the nation's resources and, pretty much have them pay you for them at the end of the day. Because a lot of times they take over these countries and you somehow owe them money for the things that they took out of your country. Oddly enough. Habakkuk chapter 2. Start at verse 5.
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home.
So it says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. That wine there that they're talking about, that's their doctrines, that's their ideologies, that's the things that they push. That's the same wine that they're talking about that made the nations drunk in the book of Revelation. So we know it's not actual wine. It's the doctrines, all these ideologies that they push out to the rest of the world. It's homosexual marriage. It's white Jesus. It's all this stuff.
It says he is proud. He is a proud man.
He is a proud man. And this is how you know. Let me get Obadiah. This is how you know that it's talking about Esau, right? Because there's nothing more prideful than the so-called white man. There's nothing more prideful than him. Read who shall bring me down? Yeah.
It says the pride. This is Book of Obadiah chapter 1, Book of Obadiah verse 3. The pride of thy heart have deceived thee.
The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. That's why they won't even see it coming. That's why the Lord said in Revelation he destroyed Babylon in 1 hour. They're not even going to see it coming because they're so overwhelmed and they're so filled with pride that they think that they can't be touched.
Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So we know exactly who that's talking about. There's only one man that could really make that boast on the planet, right? Chinese man can't make that boast. The Arab man, he getting bombed to death.
Yeah, Japan definitely.
Japan can't make that boast. They got the atom bomb dropped on them already. There's no one that can literally say, who shall bring me down to the ground, except for one nation. So that's how we know who. That's one of the ways that we know when they talk about Esau, Edom, who they're talking about. Because process of elimination, right? Where we at?
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5.
Go ahead.
It says, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home.
He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. I implore you to look at a map of the world and see how many American bases there are set up all around the world.
Because Rome did the same thing.
Hundreds of them just set up all around the world. So
U.S. embassies?
U.S. embassies all around the world. So when we talk about world domination, you got to think about the countries that's left to actually oppose what the United States has been doing, right? After, I believe, World War II, they said that NATO wouldn't expand anymore, right? NATO is it's pretty much a U.S. alliance. They like to say it's all the countries, but the United States supplies the weapons and everything else to NATO, and they pretty much dictate what's going to happen. So when they tell you to do something, you're going to do it. If they want to set up missiles in your country, you're going to do it. So it's really the United States as an empire expanded. So one of the reasons, and this goes into the whole situation with Ukraine, one of the reasons why Russia was so adamant about invading Ukraine was because they were in talks of joining NATO, right? First off, you can't time of war, so that's one reason to go to war with Ukraine. But they started expanding after World War II, after they made a treaty, of course, that they broke, just like all the treaties. They broke this one as well, and they began to expand eastward till they're on Russia's doorstep. I always like to make the comparison, like imagine somebody setting up, somebody that you've been beefing with for about 100 years or so, and they just sitting on your lawn, setting up missiles and guns and loading AKs right outside. Every time you look outside, you see them doing it. That's crazy. So of course, Russia is going to fight back. They have their largest naval base. It's in Crimea. It's in Ukraine. They never talk about that. They never talk about Russia doesn't have access to, I believe it's the Mediterranean. Mm-hmm. They don't have access to the Med without the base in Crimea. They would have to go all the way around. Russia is pretty much landlocked. So they set up a base in Crimea during the Soviet era so that they can go in and out of the waters and at least defend themselves. Ukraine was a buffer between NATO and Russia. So this is the reason, like I said, now they keep it at home. These people are expanding all the way eastward, right? And they managed to surround all of their enemies. Anyone that can even oppose America, they've managed to surround them. They're all throughout the Pacific. So China is an enemy of the United States. I mean, they ain't friends. They wouldn't consider them allies. And they've managed to surround China and surround Russia and Iran. Like I said, all of these countries that they've overthrown, with Iran being last, right? It says Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off with Iran.
Yeah, just to add on, I remember one time I was watching it was live on YouTube. It was Trump. He was talking about Iran, trying to make peace with them. But he said that he don't want them to build nuclear weapons in Iran. And he said that if they build nuclear weapons, they have a plan, a mission that's called what do you say? Total obliteration.
I believe it.
So
when I
heard that, the way that he said it, I'm like, that sounds real. Like that don't sound like no joke.
Yeah.
It said I think he said total obliteration. And the way how Trump talked, but the way that he said it was just like all I could think in my mind was just them just dropping bombs on everybody, children, women.
It don't matter because they're the only ones that's allowed to defend themselves. They're the only ones that's allowed to threaten the rest of the world. They're the only ones allowed to have these things. So it's sad, man. It's really just a bully situation. But like I said, I like to judge things objectively. And if I had an empire and I wanted my empire to stand, just like any dynasty, I would, I'd probably do the same thing, So it's important to really understand the mindset of our enemies as well. So it's like I get it. I get it. So Iran is the last country, and they are also being surrounded. All these other countries, like you said, finishing off with Iran. Iran is the, I'd say they're the oldest empire. The Persian Empire, that's Iran. They're the oldest country or nation in that region. They have the most history. They have the largest military. They're the ones that are most capable of putting up a fight with the U.S. So in order to do so, they would have to overthrow these other countries surrounding them and then put their bases in these countries, right? So they set up shop in Iraq. They just overthrew Syria, Assad in Syria. He ran off. Libya, Gaddafi is dead. Sudan and Somalia, they're in there as well, just, you know, messing shit up right now. So, keep reading, read on.
It says, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people.
Who enlarges his desire as hell, and heapeth unto himself all nations. So, when it says enlarges itself as hell, you got to understand there's never, the ground never runs out of room to bury the dead. So when it says enlarges its desire as hell, because bodies are what you call, like, I believe it's biodegradable is the word. So the bodies eventually turn to dirt, and then you can add more bodies. So it's comparing this man's just lust for everything, be it money, wealth, as hell. All right? So he just wants more and more and more and more. All the resources, everything. That's what he does. So he started bombing the Houthis, which are backed by Iran. Pretty much, if you want to put it into context, the Houthis would be Iran's Israel, so to speak. Right? The same way we give Israel money and weapons, and things of that nature, Iran is doing the same thing. But of course, when it comes to Iran doing it, it's funding terrorism. Versus when it comes to giving money to Israel, it's for them to protect themselves or whatever the hell they're doing. Right now, they're bombing Palestinians. Right now, they're just killing off a bunch of Palestinians. Which, another thing, like I said, just judging the matter, judging the situation objectively, it's messed up. You know, it's kind of like a little genocide they got going on there. They pretty much closed off the evacuation into Egypt, so there's nowhere for them to run. So they're just like stuck in this strip of land, the Gaza Strip. They're just stuck there and just dying and being bombed to death. So, I mean, it's kind of messed up. But, you know. So, like I said, the plan is to eventually go to war with Iran, and the United States is trying to figure out a way to do so. So they started bombing these Houthi rebels who actually cut off the waterways to Israel. Speaking of the Palestinians, it was because they set up a blockade of goods being shipped to Israel in order to hopefully stop Israel from bombing the Palestinians, in hopes of doing so. So, I mean, that's what's been going on. Hopefully, you know, we can get out of here soon. Hopefully, this is the war that ends wars. You know, because pretty much once this starts, it's pretty much going to draw. It's pretty much going to draw. It's pretty much going to draw. It's pretty much going to draw the rest of the world It's pretty much going to draw the rest of the world into a global conflict. Let me get Isaiah chapter 9. I believe it's verse 13. Because the next war, when you consider the previous wars, there's only one way for the next war to go, right? The last big war we had, an atom bomb was used, or pretty much tested. So there's only one way for the next big war to go, right? They got stockpiles of nuclear weapons for no reason, really. You got 300 nuclear weapons will probably wipe out the entire planet, destroy the Earth. For some reason, the United States has about 4,000 in service, and Russia has another like 4,500 or something. Just in case, right? We're gonna blow up the world, 6-7 times over, just in case. It makes no sense. No sense for them to even have that many nuclear weapons. 9 and what's that highlight? For every battle, yeah.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire.
For this and fuel of fire. So, the last war, which is going to bring forth our deliverance, right? If you read the rest of that chapter, it talks about us being delivered. Right. So the last war that's going to bring forth our deliverance, it says, is going to be with burning and fuel of fire. So just watching what's going on, we're getting there. We're getting close. Let me get 54:16.
Isaiah chapter 54, verse 16. It says, Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals and the fire.
So this is the Most High talking. It says, Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals and the fire. For what? Read on.
That bringeth forth an instrument for his work.
That bringeth forth an instrument for the Most High's work. Go ahead, do what?
And I have created the waster to destroy.
And I have created the waster to destroy. So, everything leading up to the Lord's return, we're watching it take place. And like I said, no man knoweth the day or the hour, right? But if you're paying attention and you understand prophecy and you're occupied in prophecy as you should be as a watchman for Israel, then you understand, you're getting there, you're getting close. That's all I got today. Like I said, just pay attention. Pay attention. I guarantee the next war that we enter into is going to be with Iran, right? Everything that we do in the process is leading up to, like this general said here, is leading up to a war with Iran. So, just keep watching and repent, get right with the Lord. Let me get Isaiah 28. Get right with the Lord, and hopefully you'll be preserved in those days. Because a lot of us, according to the scriptures, a lot of us aren't going to make it. A lot of us aren't going to make it. 28 and it says, you go and shut the door. You know what I'm talking about? Shut the door. Twenty-six 20.
Yeah. It was on my head.
Got it.
And what verse?
26:20.
Right.
Yep, right there.
It says, "Come." This is our book of Isaiah, chapter 26 and verse 20. "Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment."
Hide thyself as if for a little moment. So the Lord is commanding us to go in, just like He did during the Passover in Egypt. He's commanding us to go inside, shut the door. Go ahead.
It says, "Until the indignation be overpassed."
Until the indignation be overpassed.
Yeah.
So our refuge, our safety is going to be in the Lord and in the Most High. So we need to come back, like I said, repent and be covered, put on that armor and be covered. And, hopefully we may be delivered. All right? So that's all I got. Until next time, shalom.
Shalom.